Howdy friends, another demo on selections. Today's is a little bit more advanced, but it goes pretty quick. So make sure when you're opening Photoshop, hold Shift, Control, Alt. That will reset the Photoshop settings once you click yes and restore all the settings to default and help prevent a lot of bugs. So once you've opened the program, the image that we're using for this assignment is going to be, if I could find it, that would be cool. So the image that we're using for this assignment should be another cityscape. It should be called Select Color Range. And it'll look like this. Now, yes, you could use other tools to select the sky. What we've learned so far, that wouldn't be too much of a problem. But that's not the point. The point is to learn a variety of tools so that you have lots of options for whatever you might need to select in the future. So for this one, we're going to go up to Select, and we're going to choose Select Color Range. You'll see there's some other options here too. I encourage you to experiment with those, but today I want to show you this one. So Select Color Range. And when it starts out, it's going to pop up this panel. And right now, this preview here is pretty much all black. There's really not anything selected. I'm going to show you a couple options before we go ahead and use the one that we're going to do this assignment with. So there are different things you can choose depending on if you have like a portrait or there's people in there, you want to select their skin tones. That will select anything that's commonly associated with skin tones. You can choose specific groupings of colors from the drop-down menu. So anything in white or light gray will be part of my selection. So here it would be selecting all the reds. Blues, you can see all the light gray areas. Again, those would be selections of all the blues in the image. You can also do this with highlights. So anywhere that's white is part of my selection. You can see it's getting all these bright lights. Same with shadows and midtones. So those are some different things you could experiment with. Again, all the areas in white would be part of that selection. We're going to do sampled colors though. So next to select, choose sampled colors. And when I first start out, again, there's not really a whole lot selected. I haven't told it to select anything. So we're going to start with the eyedropper, just the regular one. And I'm going to click in the middle of the sky. I can see that this white area, it selected all the colors where my eyedropper was that are that color or very, very similar. And that gives me this white haze in the background. But I can see towards my buildings, it gets a little gray and almost black. That means that the blues around the buildings, even though they look the same to us, the computer can tell they're slightly different and it's not including those clearly in my selection. So I'm going to click the eyedropper with the plus sign next to it. And then I'm just going to go around between the buildings and sample a couple colors to add to my selection. You'll see those areas around the buildings now become bright white. Those are clearly part of my selection. There's some gray haze up here at the top too, though, so I'm going to click around there, and that will add those colors. Now, the bummer part is that it is selecting some of the water too, because the color up here is the same as some areas in the water, so we'll fix that later. But for now, this will work. So we're going to click OK, and that's going to output all the colors that we had selected to a selection. Now, we know that there are combinations of tools we can use to fix things like this, so that's where I'm going to use my rectangular marquee tool. I'm either going to click the subtract from selection option in the top options bar or hold Alt, and that'll give me this tool, my rectangular marquee tool with the little minus sign. And then I can just come here and drag around the water, and you'll see that that removes it from my selection. So now with the whole sky selected, there are some things I don't want. Oops. I want to add this to my selection. So if you ever have that happen where you think you're getting rid of something, but it actually ends up doing the opposite of what you want, just switch, between Shift and Alt, between add and remove. And, you can fix little things like that. So I don't want that to be included either. So you should have the marching ants all the way around the sky, going cleanly along the buildings. And this should be a pretty good selection around the buildings because it's based on color and not things that are like touching each other. So this might give you better results than our last skyline. From here, you can change the background pretty quickly. We'll get more into these in the future, but we're going to click this half circle. These are adjustment layers, and go up to solid color or gradient and pick something that's very different from the original background. So you'll see there's folders of like basic options and presets you can choose. I'm just going to choose this one because it looks like a really fun sunset. But you can explore any of those. You can change the style of the gradient. So radial is from the center out in a circle. Linear is just from one color to another in a line. There's some options that you can mess around with there. But I'm going to go with this one, sure. And you can choose the angle, things like that. So I'm going to click OK. And that gives me a new background just in the area we have selected. Now, if this stuff doesn't make sense to you yet, don't sweat it. We're going to go into these in detail. But all I want you to try now is using that select color range option to select the whole sky and quickly and easily change the background color using our adjustment layers, and try any of these. So solid color, gradient, or pattern. And then you can go ahead and submit.